Today I want to share with you how to make a homemade healing ointment that soothes bug bites, cuts, and a whole host of minor skin irritations. This is a natural antibiotic ointment, herbal salve, and it's very easy to make. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills for making nutrient-dense foods like bone broth, ferment, sourdough, and more. So if you want to learn how to be a modern pioneer in the kitchen, consider subscribing to my channel and don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. I just want to take a minute to talk to the beginner about homemade healing ointments. But if you're already experienced with them and you just want to jump ahead and start making this ointment, be sure to check the timestamps in the description below. Also in the description below, I'll have a link to the blog post that corresponds with this video, and there you'll be able to print out the recipe for making this ointment. Now, if you're a beginner and you're new to making homemade healing ointments or any type of herbal natural remedy for that matter, I highly recommend that you begin to educate yourself about how certain herbs or the essential oils from certain herbs are specifically for treating different conditions and different skin conditions and so on and so forth. And if you're looking for a particular author, if you've been with me a while, you know I always recommend any herb book by Rosemary Gladstar. And her one for beginners is probably the best if you're a beginner. Now, there are two more things that I want to mention for the beginner. Number one, if you are pregnant or nursing, or you're thinking of using this healing ointment with a child, or if you take medication either over the counter or prescription, or if you have allergies, you really want to check with your medical practitioner to make sure these type of home remedies, these natural remedies, things that are made with herbs, are safe for you. And the good news is, thanks to people like Dr. Andrew Weil, who developed the School of Integrative Medicine, which is part of the University of Arizona Medical School, and that program has since spread to other medical schools as well around the country here in the United States and possibly in other places around the world, that are helping doctors, medical doctors, become more knowledgeable about alternative medicine and being able to integrate that with modern medicine, alternative medicine being traditional medicines of traditional cultures. And the two are melded together, modern medicine and traditional medicine, to create integrative medicine. And as I've shared with you in previous videos, I live in a small town, but we actually have a medical doctor here who was trained under Dr. Andrew Weil's integrative medicine program. So there is good news out there that more and more doctors are becoming knowledgeable about these things. And certainly if you work with a naturopath or a doctor of that type of study, they can help you as well. And the second thing that I want to mention, especially if you're a beginner and you're making remedies like this, natural remedies, to apply topically to your skin, always do a little patch test with a very small amount on your inner arm. You can do it near your wrist, and make sure that you don't have any kind of allergic reaction. Now, for making this healing ointment, the easiest way to do this is with some sort of double boiler apparatus. You can also do it in a little pan if you have one, either enamel-lined cast iron is fine, or stainless steel, something that's non-reactive, that doesn't react with various ingredients. For example, pots and pans made from aluminum will sometimes react, meaning that they may leach something from the pot or the pan that's made of aluminum into what you're making in it, especially when you're doing herbal remedies. You may often hear that whenever you're working with anything that involves tomatoes when you're cooking. So you just want to make sure that you're using something that's non-reactive. Lined cast iron, stainless steel, glass, all of these are very good. With just plain cast iron, you have to be a little careful because that can be reactive as well. Now, the way I like to do this is just by taking a glass bowl. You could also use a stainless steel bowl. And I'm just going to put this over my pot here that I've got some water in the bottom. You don't need a lot of water. And I have this on minimum. You don't even need this water simmering. You basically just need it warm. And you want to make sure that when you put your bowl in, it's not touching the water. The other thing you're going to need in terms of equipment per se is some type of container to put your salve in, your healing ointment, once it's finished. I really like to store mine in glass, and this is just a little 4-ounce jelly jar, which is about the amount that we're going to make. Now, if you like to use those little stainless steel containers that you often see people have salves in, they're often sold in the store like that, you can definitely do that, but you'd need a couple of them if they're very small, because we are going to make between 4 and 5 ounces of this. Now let's go over the ingredients. The first ingredient that you're going to need is 2 tablespoons of beeswax. And what I have here are the beeswax pellets. If you have a large chunk of solid beeswax, you can just grate that on a large grater, and it should be about the same as the pellets. It's not a super exact science, so don't worry too much, but you need just about 2 tablespoons. The beeswax helps give the final product a nice consistency. Also, beeswax has naturally soothing properties, and so that's always helpful whenever you're making some type of healing ointment. The next ingredient that you're going to need is a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. The reason that we're using coconut oil is because it's a wonderful antimicrobial. And as an antimicrobial, it kills harmful microbes. And it's harmful microbes that can lead to infection. So anything we can do to tamp down the harmful microbes, all the better. So that's why coconut oil is often called for when making various ointments or salves. Now, what about using tallow? I definitely have made various skin preparations using tallow, which is rendered beef suet. And if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, I'll definitely link to those videos in the description below, where I show you not only how to render beef suet and make tallow, but then how to use tallow to make various skin preparations. Next, you're going to need 1/8 cup of jojoba oil. Now, can you use olive oil because that's often more readily available in most traditional foods kitchens? Yes, but if you can obtain some jojoba oil, I highly recommend using it to make this particular ointment. The reason I like to use jojoba oil in making this healing ointment is multifold. Jojoba oil is rich in vitamin E, and vitamin E is a natural preservative which helps extend the shelf life of our healing ointment. The nice thing about jojoba oil is that because of the high vitamin E content, it can help diminish scarring. So if you do get a small cut on your face and you're treating it with a healing ointment that has jojoba oil in it, which is high in vitamin E, it's the vitamin E that helps with diminishing scarring. And speaking of diminishing scarring, if you have even an old scar, you can use this healing ointment on a regular basis to help hopefully diminish the scar over time so that it'll eventually fade. Vitamin E is very helpful at helping scars to fade, but what's so nice about using an oil that's high in vitamin E is that you don't have to rely on a synthetic vitamin E that you might buy just as that single ingredient, because all of these things work in essence synergistically together. And so I'm not a big fan of extracting just one vitamin and then using it. I like the idea of using an oil that contains vitamin E that can help fade or diminish scarring, but at the same time has all the other ingredients that are in jojoba oil that I'm sure work with the vitamin E and just help overall healing. And the reason that jojoba oil may help diminish scarring on a cut or an abrasion, whatever the case may be, is because jojoba oil has been found to help accelerate healing of the skin. So it helps things heal quickly, and hopefully in that healing quick process, it helps diminish scarring. Now, I just want to make a mention in talking about jojoba oil and using it on cuts to help not only heal it quickly, but also to diminish scarring, is we're talking about minor cuts and minor abrasions, maybe minor bug bites. If you have a serious wound or it looks like an infection is spreading, you definitely want to make sure that you get proper medical treatment for that. But for minor cuts, minor abrasions, scrapes, bug bites, all things like that, these type of healing ointments can help soothe, can help heal, and can also comfort and provide some analgesic relief, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. The herbs that we're going to rely on to make this healing ointment are two specific ones, and one, well, actually both in a way, but one is commonly known for having analgesic properties. Now, what does analgesic mean? That means that it helps relieve pain. And you may even see this in the various ointments sold at your local drugstore, that they'll say fight infection or prevent infection. They're antibiotic ointments, and it'll sometimes say plus pain relief. Well, we're going to use some herbs or the essential oils from herbs that do have analgesic properties. The first herb that we're going to use is German chamomile, also known as German blue chamomile. And the essential oils that I'm using are just from some company called Plant Therapy. I have no connection to them. Use whatever essential oil brand you like. In addition to having analgesic properties, the nice thing about German blue chamomile is that it also has antibacterial properties. We want that. We want something that can kill bacteria, bad bacteria specifically, whenever we have a cut or a scrape or a bug bite that we want to prevent getting infected, and so on and so forth. Plus, it has anti-inflammatory properties. And whenever we can tamp down inflammation on our skin, all the better. Now, if you don't have German blue chamomile, can you use Roman chamomile? Yes. Generally, in topical ointments, the German chamomile is preferred because its various properties are considered stronger. But if you do have the Roman chamomile on hand, certainly you can use that as well. The next essential oil that we're going to use is called helichrysum. Helichrysum is a very pretty herb or flowering plant, whatever you want to call it, with bright yellow flowers. And if you've ever read about it, it'll often be referred to by nicknames like immortal or everlasting, because it seems like those flowers are going to just keep blooming no matter what. Now, yes, helichrysum also has pain-relieving properties like chamomile, but it also has a whole host of properties and works very nicely hand in hand with the jojoba oil, because it too is very good at helping to decrease scarring. You'll often see helichrysum and jojoba oil, sometimes coconut oil, in various home preparations to help with acne. So helichrysum and jojoba oil can really help whenever you're making a homemade preparation to help decrease the scarring associated with acne. Let me know in the description below if you'd like to see me make a cream to help with acne and to help decrease the scarring associated with the blemishes. Helichrysum is one of those herbs or essential oils that has many wonderful properties. In many ways, it's up sort of in the higher echelon of herbs and essential oils, like holy basil, one of those that just has so much to offer. In addition to helping diminish scarring, helichrysum is also a wonderful antimicrobial. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It has antiseptic properties. Plus, it has another very interesting characteristic. In addition to seeing helichrysum in acne products, you may, naturally made ones, you may also see this in various creams for the skin, because helichrysum has been found to have regenerative properties, to help the skin just look better, to heal from within when you apply these, to have it sink into the skin and to have the skin start to look better, maybe with less scarring, less wrinkles, whatever the case may be. It's very regenerative. And because of these regenerative properties is what makes helichrysum especially important when used to make a healing ointment. The regenerative nature of it helps wounds heal quickly, helps minor wounds heal quickly. Just like the jojoba oil helps minor wounds heal quickly, so does the helichrysum. So these two just work beautifully together. They help decrease scarring and they help the wounds heal quicker. So now that you know all the ingredients that are going to go into our healing ointment and why we pick these specific ingredients, let's make our healing ointment. So I've got my pot here with a little bit of water in it. I have it set to minimum. You really just want to melt this together very gently. There's no need to rush the process. By heating it gently and just getting it to become in somewhat of a liquid form, we make it very easy to work with, but at the same time, we retain both of the healing properties and soothing properties associated with both the beeswax and the coconut oil. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my beeswax pellets right down into my bowl and get those melting. So the pellets are beginning to melt, and now I'm going to go ahead and add in our coconut oil. Well, this has melted together beautifully, so now I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the heat. Now with the heat off, but still our mixture is still warm here, I'm going to go ahead and pour in the jojoba oil and just get this to mix through, or mix all together. Well, I've got this jojoba oil nicely blended in, so now what I'm going to do is lift this out. And be very careful when you do this. Kind of angle it away from you because steam will escape from the pot that we've had that water simmering in, allowing all of this to melt. And be sure to use pot holders, or if you use those gloves that are made out of pot holder material, or whatever you use, you're going to need something to carefully lift this out because it is very warm. And as I said, when you're lifting it out, try to angle the bowl slightly so that the steam goes away from you. Alrighty, well, what we're going to do now is just give this a few minutes to just cool off a bit, to let it come up a little closer to room temperature. Not to the point where it's like hardening, but just where you can comfortably, right now I cannot comfortably touch this bowl. It's quite warm. And we don't want to put our essential oils in at this point because we don't want to damage them in any way. So we're just going to let this cool down a little bit. Well, this has cooled down nicely. As you can see, I can keep my hands on the bowl. It feels very comfortable. It's warm, but not piping hot like before. Okay, I'm going to set the spatula aside. Now we're going to put in our essential oils. We're going to put in 10 drops of the German blue chamomile, and we're going to put in 20 drops of the helichrysum. So here's the German chamomile. 1, 10. Don't worry if you get a little more by accident, that's fine. And as you will see, let me remove this now that it's cooler. You'll notice it has an actual blue color to it. It's a very dark blue, and that is from one of the compounds that makes up German chamomile. Now 20 drops of the helichrysum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Maybe we've got a little extra. But don't worry. It's never like a 100% exact science, so you don't have to worry. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to take a whisk and I'm just going to mix all of this together gently so that we do get the essential oils well combined with the jojoba oil, the coconut oil, and the melted beeswax. Now we're going to get our jar, and I'm actually going to use a funnel to keep this as neat as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pour this right in. And I just want to mention, if you have one of those large glass measuring cups, that can also serve as part of your double boiler. You could go ahead and actually put that into your bowl, whether glass bowl or stainless steel bowl, and melt your ingredients right in the measuring cup. Heat proof, heat safe measuring cup, and then it's a little easier to pour. There we go. I'm glad I had the funnel. Now, as you see, this is already starting to cool. And so I'm just going to use my spatula to get every little last bit of this out into I'm going to use the spatula. This might not be too smart, but I want to get every little last bit of this healing ointment into my jar. I think a knife would work very well to just move this off. It's a lovely color, isn't it? It's from the German chamomile. Now, as you see, this is cooling up to room temperature. It's cooling from the outside in. You'll notice on the top, it's still a little loose, so we're going to let it cool completely so that I can show you what the texture is like once it does cool to room temperature, and you keep this in what I like to call your herbal medicine cabinet. And speaking of the herbal medicine cabinet, if you've not had a chance yet to see my video on how to create a healing pantry, I'll definitely link to that in the description below. And I have printouts to help you with putting that together. I think it's very important to carve out an area where you keep all of the necessary supplies as well as the ingredients that you need for making various natural remedies or home remedies. And then within that healing pantry, I like to have something that I call the herbal medicine cabinet. And I like to have within my healing pantry that area where I keep all of the various herbs that I need or the essential oils of herbs to make various natural remedies, as well as any remedies that I have made like this. That way I have everything in one place. And I'll also keep some books in there that can help me in the event that I want to make a particular natural remedy for healing a particular type of condition. So definitely check out that video and the helpful printouts. Now, in the beginning, I mentioned that this can help soothe the bug bite, soothe the cut, help with healing, so on and so forth. And this really is an all-purpose healing ointment. This is wonderful to use on cracked, dry heels or other areas that of your skin that may be exceptionally dry. The jojoba oil is also very beneficial, not only for acne, but also for eczema. And so there are different things that you can do with a healing ointment like this. And so I definitely recommend that you read up on the wonderful properties of not only jojoba oil, but also of the German blue chamomile, and also all about helichrysum. Now, before we try this out, I just want to take a minute to talk about shelf life. Whenever you make anything homemade, there never really seems to be a definitive answer as to how long something will last. However, there are some general principles as to how long homemade ointments and homemade salves will last. But it can be a pretty broad window. often you'll hear that these types of healing ointments will stay fresh anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. And then some people will say forever. I don't know about that. But pretty much, depending on what herbs you use, what essential oils you use, so on and so forth, the various other ingredients you use, and what their shelf lives may be, can give you a fairly good indication of what the shelf life of your particular homemade ointment will be. My general rule is that yes, it's going to be at its most potent within the first 6 months. However, I am comfortable keeping homemade herbal preparations and homemade essential oil preparations up to 1 year. Now, when it comes to storing this, I like to keep this in what I shared with you earlier that I like to call my herbal medicine cabinet within my healing pantry, and that's in a cool, dark place. These are best stored in a cool, dark place. And personally, I prefer to store them away from the bathroom because the bathroom can tend to be a warm, moist environment. So it's a good thing to have your herbal medicine cabinet in a separate area that is a nice, cool, dark place, and that will help extend its shelf life. Now, what I want to show you is once this hardens to room temperature, it still is very spreadable and very creamy, very much like different little ointments that you may find at the health food store sold in those little tins. It really has a wonderful consistency to it, and it's very spreadable. And oh gosh, these things always feel so soothing. They really do feel very healing. So as you'll see, this is very easy to work with. Plus, I want to mention something. If you ever have trouble with your cuticles being a little inflamed, this is a wonderful ointment for that, as well as a whole host of other things that we talked about in today's video. Now, if you would like more recipes on how to make lots of different herbal remedies, teas, lotions, salves, oils, syrups, the whole host of things, be sure to click on this video over here where I have a playlist that includes videos on all of those subjects as well as more. And I look forward to seeing you over there in my Texas Hill Country Kitchen. Love and God bless.